when you're raising a child is to recognize, remember I said the first 7 years you download the programs from other people. You may ask now, why would you do that? Why don't you just have your own programs? And I'll give you a simple reason. I say, look, you go to the Apple store and you buy a brand new iPod. You take it out of the box. And on the front screen, the touch screen, there's all these different things. You can select the music, you can change the volume, you can make a music list, you can go fast forward, you can change it. The touch screen is like creative. I can create a music list, and I can create the parameters of playing that music. So I say, the touch screen is conscious mind, creative. I say, you get a brand new iPod, take it out of the box, and I say, push play. Nothing happens. And all those people around you are snickering. They're going, yeah. You know what? Because you didn't download any music. So how can you play any music if you didn't download any music? It's like, you cannot be conscious unless you have some program to be conscious of. That is why nature made the first 7 years programmable. Put the program in. Consciousness kicks in at around age 7. Can use the program. But when you become very conscious, you can recognize, but I can change the program. Then you have power, then you have freedom. But if you don't realize you can change the program, then you will run by the program. So here's a simple fact. Everyone almost has seen the movie called The Matrix. I go, what's the premise? The premise is that we've all been programmed. And that if you take a blue pill, you go back into the program and life is always the way it is. If you take a red pill, you get out of the program. So I'm going to tell you a simple fact. Matrix is not a science fiction movie. The Matrix is a documentary. We have all been programmed, and that these programs control our lives. And I go, is this something new that science has just discovered? And I go, no. The Jesuits, 400 years, have said, give me a child until it's 6 or 7, it will belong to the church for the rest of its life. I go, do you understand what they just said? They've been saying that for 400 years. You have any idea what they're saying? Exactly, here's what they're saying. You give me the download program of 7 years, and I will control the fate of that child, irregardless of what their intention is. This child will always belong to the church because I programmed it to be that way. And I go, Jesus, it is the Matrix. We've been programmed. I say, do you think that program enhances you? And I go, well, no. Psychologists will tell you the programming that we have been passed down is predominantly disempowering programs. I say, oh my God, then our power as a human has been diminished by the program. And I go, yeah, you think the Jesuits are the only ones that knew about programming? Are you kidding me? In today's world, those people that regulate programming are far better at it than the Jesuits could have ever imagined. And we've all been programmed. I say, so then our life is not our life. Our life is an expression of a program that we have been given, a program of Darwinian competition, a program of being a victim to our genes, a program that life is based on competition, all these things. I say, these are programs. I say, these programs are on your life because now we know 95% of your life comes from the programs. Right. I go, whoa. What about my creative wishes and desires? I hear, oh, that's conscious mind. That controls 5%. And then all of a sudden you start to realize, wait a minute. My life doesn't match my wishes and desires. I go, yeah, why not? Because you're only using wishes and desires, conscious mind, 5% of the time. You are operating from subconscious 95% of the time. And so your life is not really yours. Your life has been programmed. And I go, well, what happens if you get out of the program? I say, well, you take the red pill. You say, yeah, but what the heck's a red pill? I say, well, you know what? Almost everybody out there has taken a red pill without knowing they did. I say, well, what is the red pill? I'll give you one example. One of the red pills is falling in love. What do you mean, falling in love? I say, look at your life before you met somebody that you fell in love with. Every day was blah, blah, life, blah, blah, hard, trouble, struggle, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then you meet this one person, and the next day is like, oh my God, life is so beautiful.
This is the honeymoon effect you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the honeymoon effect. I said, well, how'd you create from all the way up to this moment till you met this person, life was trouble and not supporting and whatever it is, and then you meet this person, and the next day it's like, you're healthier, you got more energy, you're so happy with life, you can't wait for the next day because it's all coming in beautiful. It's called the honeymoon. I go, what was that all about? And here's the answer. It's the equivalent of taking the red pill. The honeymoon is an expression of the first time in your life that you're not following the program, that you're actually now operating from your conscious mind, which is what? Wishes and desires. And I say, what happened when you let go of the program and started operating from wishes and desires? The answer is the first thing you did was create heaven on earth. I go, oh, that was already available to me, except for the program didn't let me get there. And I go, Yeah, we've been programmed. We've been disempowered. I say, well, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? I say, let me give you a fact. Every human is equally powerful in their potential. Every human is equally powerful. I said, well, then how did some humans, let's say like Bill Gates, get all that power? And you say, oh, did they get more powerful? Joke? No. I said, well, they have all this power. How'd they get all that power? I say, they didn't get more powerful. They took away your power. And when you got less powerful, they became more powerful. So you've been programmed to be disempowered. Why? To control you. And the church knew about controlling you for 400 years. And I said, that thought is not lost. The world of the Illuminati, they know exactly what the hell to do.
But what you just said is that we all have the power to live in that peace and be in love, not just because we've met somebody, but because that's our nature, to be in love.
Right. As soon as you relieve yourself of a program that constricts you to a belief system and makes you manifest that belief system, when you let go of that program, you are no longer a prisoner of that belief system. And the moment you let go of that program of victim and struggle and fight, and you end up being in love, all of a sudden it's like, even the same job that yesterday was a piece of crap is like, today, it's okay. I don't really care. I'm doing a job. Why? Because as soon as I get home, I'm going to have my love relationship. It's like, oh, yeah, guess what? You change your belief system. But the unfortunate part about why the honeymoon is interesting, because it is a moment where you actually stop playing the program, and the result of stop playing the program, the taking of the red pill, meant that your life profoundly changed from before you fell in love, which was, life was boring, struggle, whatever you want to talk about it was, to the moment you fell in love, and all of a sudden life is now completely different. I said, what's different about it? And the answer was, well, now that I've fallen in love, I'm operating from my conscious mind, which is creative, wishes and desires, manifesting wishes and desires, manifesting the love that I want. But at some point, even the honeymoon starts to fade away. And I say, why? Well, let's answer the first question. Is why am I operating from my subconscious mind 95% of the time? Why not run conscious mind? I say, because there's a very unique part of the conscious mind that makes it so powerful, and that is that it can think. And I say, well, what happens when it's thinking? So I say to you, Alan, I say, listen, Alan, what are you doing on Tuesday at 4 o'clock? Now you have to think. I say, well, what does it mean when you have to think? I say, you have to go in your head. You have to go back and say, what am I doing? What am I doing on that day, 4 o'clock? And you're thinking. And I say, well, what's happening when you're thinking? I say, your conscious mind's not paying attention. Your conscious mind's deep into your head. It's thinking about what's going to happen on Tuesday. And I go, well, does that mean the moment you start thinking, you stop everything that you're doing? And I go, absolutely not. The moment that you are thinking is you default to the subconscious program. So I say, oh, well, then how much thinking do we do during the day? And the answer is 95%. So I say, oh, then 95% of the day, my conscious mind's thinking, so my behavior is automatically controlled by default by the subconscious. I say, yeah, if you're walking and you have a thought, you don't stop walking. You continue walking. Yeah, the subconscious is more powerful.
So you're saying being present, being in control of our life, being creative, being in the moment, in the flow, brings back the power to the conscious mind so our subconscious programs don't run us.
Absolutely. But then the problem is our world is so busy that it's a very difficult process to keep your conscious mind present. Mindfulness. I say, yeah, except falling in love is an automatic mechanism that encourages mindfulness. And that's why when you fall in love, your life is dramatically different than it was the day before you fell in love. And I say, but what's the relevance about it? I say, well, because once you started to do your own creation without the program, you got healthy, you got happy, and life was heaven on earth. But once you start thinking again, because look, I can be in love for a while, but I still have a job. Yeah. I still got to pay the rent. I got to take care of my chores, which means as soon as life starts to intrude, I have to start thinking about all the things I do. And I say the moment you start thinking is the moment you default to those subconscious behaviors. And I go, yeah, but those aren't your behaviors. Those are the programs you got from your parents. And you start to see that sometimes you behave like your parent, and it almost is embarrassing. You say, oh my God, it was just like my dad. Oh my God, it's just like my mom when I did that. I'm so embarrassed. And the fact was, here's what I tell people in a lecture, Alan, and they laugh. And why it's important for me, because as I see the audience generally gets it as a whole. And I go, listen, go back in your life. I'm sure at some point in your life you were very close to a friend. You knew your friend's behavior very, very, very well. And you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you start to see that your friend and their parent have some of the same behavior. You know, it's real exciting. You make a connection. And so you really want to tell your friend, and you go, hey, you know, Bill, you're just like your dad. And then I say, back away from Bill. Why? The moment you say to Bill he's just like his dad, what's the most inevitable response is, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm not like my dad. I'm me. I'm not my dad. And there's a great, like, you know, denial. I am not like my dad. Well, then I say, well, here's an interesting point. Everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill. I go, well, what does that mean? I go, well, where did he get the behavior? Downloaded. First 7 years. Download his dad's behavior. It's built into the subconscious. I go, great. Why doesn't he see when he's playing? And I say, well, why is he playing his default subconscious program? The answer is because his conscious mind's busy thinking. Oh! If the conscious mind's busy thinking, then by definition, it's not paying attention. And therefore, when you're thinking and you default to the subconscious program, you're the one that doesn't see it. Everybody else does.